Wow.
Thank you guys for attending. So we're just going to have a conversation about family reunion, about what your thoughts were. We have some people that attended that it was their very first family reunion. I put this slide up here. A lot of people want success, but very few people are willing to work for it. The fact that you guys, those who attended family reunion, is a good sign. Obviously, you're trying to get into that space of being a doer, not a sayer. But if you're attending this recap, if you weren't able to attend family reunion, but you're attending the recap, that's also a great start. But oftentimes when I'm coaching agents or talking to agents inside of KW, but even outside of KW, I always talk to them about, what do you want to do in your business to grow or to do better? And a lot of people always talk about the outcome, but they don't talk about the habits or the activities that they need to do in order to achieve that outcome. Some of the panelists are what I would consider to be mega agents or very successful, and maybe they can touch on some of this too. But Jason Abrams and Mark King, which is executives and leaders with KW, had mentioned this a couple times at family reunion. I thought it was brilliant. Jason Abrams said, he goes, if an agent is asking you and saying, I want success, I want to earn more, I want to do more, I want to have better production. He said, if I just told you, I'm going to give you a secret. If you do this one thing for an hour a day, would you be willing to do it? If I could guarantee you that your business is going to grow by 10, would you do it? And he said 100% of the time, everyone would say, absolutely, for sure, I would do that thing. Are you sure? Do I have your commitment? I'll tell you what it is. It's not going to be difficult. It's not going to be painstaking. It's not going to be anything, but just an hour a day. You give me an hour a day and I will times your business by 10. And that extra thing is just lead gen. So if you're doing an hour of lead gen, do 2. If you're doing 0, do 1. Like, start someplace, but just take that hour. And that's where things start to fall apart. That's where it separates the doers and the sayers. So I thought that was a brilliant thing, because it is really simple. We always say that real estate is simple. It's not easy. You have to roll up your sleeves and you have to want to do it and put in the hard work and do lead gen and so forth. But so first and foremost, welcome. I'm going to back up here for our panelists. Thank you guys for taking the opportunity and the time. We don't have to spend a tremendous amount of time on it, but I wanted to go over because you guys represent some new agents, some experienced agents, but are new to KW, some agents that have, well, in Shar's case, one of the founding agents for KW here in Honolulu. So we represent a wide variety of different agents. And I would love to hear your experience. So I'm going to start with Catherine. Catherine is a mega agent that's on Kauai. And Catherine, by the way, Catherine was a team leader herself, and now a very successful agent. How many family reunions have you been to, Catherine?
I believe this is the 5th one that I've been to.
And what did you think of it?
Well, it's always amazing. That's why I keep going back. So the first 3 that I attended, I believe it's the first 3 I attended as a team leader when I was launching Keller Williams KW Kauai. But the last 2, I believe, I attended as a realtor.
Was there something in particular that you were trying to get out of it? Did you have something in mind that you wanted to walk away from, that you were hoping to get, that you're going to execute?
In this most recent one?
Yes.
I just joined KW Luxury, so I did go with that mindset that I wanted to learn more about luxury. And I got to spend a lot of really great time with some luxury agents and just pick their brains about what they're doing and how my business needs to change in order to service that type of client. And, I've been doing a lot of showings, but with high-end buyers, but I'm thinking about what it is I need to do to service also listings. So I did go with that mindset, but I just had different ahas. So of course, I had some luxury ahas, but I had some ahas about myself from this family reunion. So.
Any ahas that you want to share with us?
Well, the first one is I think I need to be better with my relationship building, because I think when I first joined Keller Williams, I was a very high I, and the D was a little bit lower than the I. So the driver in me was a little bit lower, and I was more relational, more people oriented. But as I've become more successful in real estate and have lost a lot of time in life, I've become more of a high D. And I know that I could be better about getting to know my clients and remembering more details. I remember names and I remember a lot of things, but there's some questions that I just leave, I don't ask. And every question I have is with a point, sorry. So every question I have, there's a reason I need to know it for the transaction, but just relating to my clients, I need to be better. And I think I realized that because going to family reunion, I haven't seen a lot of my colleagues in a couple of years, obviously because of COVID. And it was just such a nice experience to remember how loving Keller Williams agents are and how much like Ohana they treat you. So I had some agents that I've known for years and they're telling me, I've been watching you and I'm so excited about your success. And they remember these really minute details about our relationship, which really made me feel good. And I thought to myself, I need to be better at that, not just with them in return, but in general, just about people and my clients, that I have those things that I remember them, but I'm not good at expressing them. So having these mega agents and mega team leaders and operating principal people that are just killing it at KW, to remember those little details about me made me feel really good. And it makes me want to do that more with other people as well.
You know, what's interesting about that is, and this is the difference between a cultured company and a company that might not be as cultured or still striving to build that culture, is KW, we're fans of each other's success. And with other firms, I've noticed that it's very competitive, like it's very dog eat dog kind of mentality. But with KW, you have a lot of fans that root for your success and root for you to do better and to level up, which is amazing. One of the things I wanted to touch on real quick before I move on to the next person ask a question is, we're in a very tricky time right now with the whole European crisis that's going on. And in a leadership call just this morning, this is a testament to the culture of our company, because it's a good segue for that, is they were mentioning that we have people that are on the ground in the surrounding areas of Ukraine that are trying to help agents and families, the families of agents get out and transport them out and get them into safety and basically provide them free, room and board and all kinds of stuff. They couldn't give too many details because it's obviously a very tricky situation. I mean, it's literally a war, but that's the culture of KW. It's like, it's way beyond real estate or transaction. It boils down to just the human connection and relationship part of it. And that makes me, I know that other people that have been with KW a long time, Daniel and Shar, for instance, remember Mega Relief? Like, that's one of those times where I want to plant my flag and go, I was part of that thing. And to know that our partners in Europe are doing that same exact thing and looking out for our agents and our agents' family in that is just unbelievable. So testament to our culture. Maria, how long have you been an agent in general in the industry?
I've been an agent for 6 years.
And this was your very first family reunion, yes?
First family reunion, and I echo Catherine's words. Although she was coming from a different perspective where she was missing the love due to COVID-19, I didn't even know it was there. And I mentioned this to Chad before, and I'll share it with the group here. I've been to many different real estate conventions, but never one like this. And I think the difference was that it was a firm related convention. And so there was a lack of the competition, like, who are you with? What company you with? And it was just like, everyone's cheering you on. Everyone wants to see you succeed and just do better and be better. And it was just amazing.
I know it's probably over as a first time attendee, it can be overwhelming. I think actually, Maria, you're the one that said it too. Maria and I were texting almost the entire time. She was like, we were like fanboying out on every single thing. And we're like, did you hear that? What about this? And, we're doing that whole thing. And one of the things that she said, which I thought was brilliantly worded, is what you said. It's a academic buffet, right? Or academic banquet.
It's an academic banquet where, and the reason why I said that not frowning upon any other firms and what they provide. But, as realtors, we constantly get people scouting us out, and saying, come with me and this is what I'm offering and all that stuff. And some of the smaller firms just cannot compete with this type of platform, this level of, like I said, a lack of a better word, academic banquet. If you don't have those resources, how do your agents grow? Where do you pull from, to get the knowledge that you need to be able to grow and be better every year, every day?
Sammy. This is your first KW. You're a relatively new agent. What do you think of the overall event?
I really liked it. It was nothing like what I thought it would be, although I didn't have too many expectations. I think it was very high energy, and kind of what everyone else was saying is just like a lot of love for everyone and like a very supportive environment, which isn't always something that you would feel in a like industry that's mainly competitive.
Awesome. Daniel, you've been to how many family reunions so far?
This is my 4th family reunion trip.
And what did you think of it? Because you're in leadership now, and I think you entered into leadership being on the AOC and being president of KWYP, the chapter that you helped start for our market center. So again, thank you for that. But you did all those things during the pandemic. So while you're still an agent, of course, but this is the first one that you've entered into as both an agent and in leadership. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's a different
How was it
experience
for you?
being in leadership. Overall, I mean, family reunion itself just reaffirms my decision of moving from Coldwell Banker to KW, and it fills my cup every time I go. And so when we didn't have family reunion this past 2 years, virtually, it wasn't the same experience. And so that's why I attend family reunion in person every year, is just to kind of remind me, okay, this is why I'm here. But being in the leadership position with KWYP, definitely, I think KWYP wasn't the same as it is now as it was 2 years ago. They didn't have that high energy level, but this year, for some reason, we had more chapters, more members. The venue itself for our mixer was full capacity. We were sold out for the restaurant that we had to reserve that. Even the awards night was just full packed of members, and it was just a different feeling for both KWYP and family reunion this year. So.
And didn't you win an award for KWYP?
The chapter had won an award. We all did. To everyone's help and contribution, we won the Home Run Award launch, which recognized our growth that we had in 2021, as well as the successful launch that we did back in July. And so that was amazing. And thank you to all our members. We wouldn't be here without, the energy in our market center that we have, and the motivation that all of our members have to keep this chapter moving forward. So
congratulations on that. That's a testament to, again, the culture piece, that everyone's all hands on deck and trying to level up the market center. So what a great addition for you to create that chapter. I know that's not easy. And in fact, Sam and Maria are leaders in YP as well, right?
Yep, Sam, Maria, Christopher Weaver was there as well. He's a leader. Elisha is social chair. So she was there as well. And then Blake is a leader as well. He's the ambassador chairman. So he was able to attend as well. So thank you for all of them for supporting. So
awesome. And Rustin Tong, who's joining us as an attendee, he's going to start KWOP, which is the Old Persons Network. So we look forward to starting that soon. And can I say welcome to Shar? Can I call you Queen C? How about that? Queen C? No? Okay.
No, you may not. It's so dramatic.
Okay. Shar, how many family reunions have you attended?
My gosh, I feel like it's been the 7th or 8th family reunion. It's been a lot. Like full circle, I think, since the cycle of first was Dallas. It was my first family reunion.
I've attended, I think this is my 5th one, and I'm counting the virtual as being one of them as well. And I always think to myself, like, is it going to get old, or am I going to kind of not get the same experience out of it? And every time I go, I get a ton of things from it. What was your experience?
would you like my overall experience or
Yeah.
there's so many golden nuggets? Let's see. I would say that I think with COVID taking place, there's so many people just longing for that companionship and masterminding and learning from each other. I with the comments with Maria, what she was sharing about different brokerages and the different culture, I think that for me, I will always be in business with Gary Keller, who is behind the scenes with everything, because with Russ and I, we have the fortunate opportunity, and we're blessed to be a part of his private mastermind, that we're able to see him 4 times a year and so forth. And before he begins, and there's never really like a structured mastermind that he covers. Before he begins, he always checks in. How are you guys? How are you feeling? How's your business? So it's about the who and the individual. Yes, production and how your profit and productivity, all of that matters. Ultimately, he's running a business. For him, he genuinely cares about each individual that's a part of his company. So to me, family reunion is that. It's getting to know the individuals that we meet on an annual basis or quarterly basis, whatever that looks like for us. Everybody has different pain points, failures, and wins. And this is kind of the great opportunity where we can actually see each other in person and learn from what happened from the last time when we talked about, and learn from it. Because everybody goes through the same cycle, the same journey, in just different, I would say just different paces in their career or life. And it's a matter of just connecting with that individual that is impacting you right now.
And we're going to expand upon that a little bit further too, because like Shar mentioned, she has the well-earned privilege of being part of Gary Keller's group, and she can share some of the nuggets that came out of that. One of the things that's great about KW is, and if for any new agents that are watching and listening to this, Gary Keller really is like the Steve Jobs in our industry. He's a visionary, a forward thinker. A lot of other brokerages are looking at us to figure out what they should do next, which is a crazy thing to think of. And yet through all these years, he still manages to keep a number of steps ahead of everyone else. It really is. And Maria laughs at this because I say this all the time, but it really is like we're playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. They're always trying to follow what we're doing. And you guys had mentioned, briefly the virtual platform. So if you guys did dial in on virtually, it is not Zoom. We're a tech company. So we created it from the ground up. It's phenomenal. It certainly cannot. I don't think anything can replace the energy that you're going to feel and see when you're physically there, but it comes close to it because it's not a Zoom. And one of the things that I at least wanted to touch on, I'm going to share my screen again real quick, is what that platform is. So the videos, for those of you who did attend virtually and in person for that matter, you have access to the virtual component. And it looks like this when you dial into it. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a little word that says video library. When you click on that, the video should be ready. They're in post-editing right now. And so all the breakouts and all the things that we attended. So if you did attend live or you did attend virtually, please go back in there, because as I alluded to in the first slide, it matters if you apply it, if you're executing some of this stuff. You can be a constant learner and watcher, but if you're not applying these things, then it really doesn't matter. A couple of things that I just wanted to have a conversation about that I thought was very interesting. So any of the panelists, please jump off of mute if you want. But in Gary Keller's vision speech was phenomenal. And I don't know any really CEOs or founders of any business that dives in consistently for, 40 something years, continually to pour into giving us the information, not only that we need to know. These slides are not necessarily in any order. These are the ones that kind of I grabbed, but he's allowing us to level up so that we are in tune and in step with what's happening on the market, so that you're more knowledgeable and you sound smarter when you're working with your clients. But I thought this was phenomenal. You know how people say, he was giving a whole speech, him and Jay Papasan and Jason Abrams, about inflation, and inflation's a real thing. And that's certainly a concern. And he was talking about all the economic indicators around it. But I thought the most important perspective is when people go, gosh, the affordability of homes. But one thing you got to look at in that third column where it says house and it says mortgage, where it's negative 24%, it's relative, right? Because in 1989, you were dealing with interest rates that were in double figure, well into the double figures, like 15 to 17%. So when you're working with clients, some of these slides are things that you should absolutely use. By the way, these things are available and they will be available in the library. But these are tools that you can use in your buyer consultations or your listing presentations as well. And so Gary Keller always says to make sure that you're an economist and you're a local expert, and knowing what economic indicators will help get your client off the fence is really important. And I thought this was brilliant. So yes, wow, the cost of gasoline has gone up 56%, which is tremendous. Or the cost of a car has gone up by 30%. The cost of a mortgage is down 24%. That's crazy, right? Because it should be much higher than what it is. In fact, it's adjust for inflation. It should be $1,915, but in fact, it's $1,455. So it's not as bad as one would think. So I thought that was fascinating. How buyers find their agent. I thought this was brilliant too. If you guys noticed in 2021, well, first of all, 2006 all the way to 2021, absolutely by far and away the highest is referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. The reason why I thought this was brilliant too is all of us who are spending so much time, effort, money chasing whatever the kind of the flashy thing is. We got to buy leads. I got to go to Zillow. I got to, whatever the thing is, your gold mine might be literally right underneath you. It's your sphere. This is the people who know you and trust you and believe in you and who are your, raving fans and so forth. I thought that was a great reminder of that as well. Shar, you guys, I know you guys do a lot of lead gen stuff too, but you guys do a lot of stuff with your existing clientele too, right? Your sphere?
We do. I would say our main clientele are from referrals from Sphere, past clients, repeats. And even though it doesn't look like it, we rarely market and generate leads from that perspective. We're only starting to look at the other lead sources, which is, paying for our ads for lead online leads and growing our database, because we have a goal to grow our database.
I think I know Daniel Ulu, you have a lot of repeat referrals out of your sphere too, right? Or do you do a lot of marketing?
Yes, I think maybe about 60% of my business is referrals. Repeat.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Are there any panelists on that as probably flip-flop, that you do more online lead generation versus referral? No, all of them?
I'm more referral, and I'm actually a lot of agent referrals as well.
Oh, that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
so is
Being
it
in
from out of
leadership
state?
really has helped me. Yes, being in leadership with KW, I mean, right from the beginning, I think the first day I activated my license, I had a couple of referrals, and you were one of them in the very beginning. And then actually, I'm getting a lot of referrals from non-KW agents now too. So yeah, a lot of my business comes from referrals from agents, but then of course, sphere of influence quite a bit as well.
I think that's something very important to keep in mind, because, a lot of times, and Maria and I have had this conversation in helping coach her with her team, is I think a lot of new agents especially try to recreate the wheel, and they want to get real creative in like how they're marketing themselves or how they're getting new business, when in fact it's right there. The numbers are already done for us, and we don't have to rethink anything. It's the proof is in the pudding. What buyers want from their agent, helping to find the right home to purchase. So if ever you do any kind of social media marketing, the aha that I had too is, again, a lot of times people say a lot of different things about a home or what have you, but maybe gear that towards what the numbers show, right? Which is finding the right home to purchase. Again, this is all coming from the vision speech. Buyer representation agreement. I didn't realize that number was so high. Are any of you guys, I know that I sign a lot of your contracts. Do you all you guys use a buyer's agreement for the most part?
Now we are.
It's a good idea, right? To obviously do that. Primary reason for purchasing a home, desire to own a home. Again, same thing as when you start doing your marketing or what have you. If it's on social media, maybe speak to the story that moves the buyer, which is leaning in towards the desire to own a home. And then the first time home buyers. Here's another interesting one too, is we had a lot of movement in the last couple of years, which Zillow had Zillow offers, and they shut that down. Power buyers help an estimated 15,000 consumers in a low inventory market. That doesn't seem like a big number. I think they anticipated that to be a lot larger. Eviction moratoriums expires, foreclosures are super low, distressed properties are super low. All those things are good in terms of being a healthy indicator of where the market is. So all those things are great. What I wanted to ask some of you guys is, in going to an attending family reunion, and you guys can kind of come off of mute, but what are the things that, because they separated in tracks. Remember before, if anyone attended family reunion maybe 3 years ago, it was great, but it's almost literally a buffet, not a banquet, Maria, but an actual buffet, where it was like there could be literally 30 classes going on at one time. You remember this, Shar, where the fire marshal would come in and go, "There's too many people in this room. You got to move over this room." And the really hot rooms, like people were waiting on the halls. It was super crazy. I think they did it smart, where they've changed it up. I think they started doing that the last family reunion, but they carried it over this one, where they made tracks. So you can go like a buyer agent track, a listing agent track, and a leadership track. And the halls that supported those classes at the same time, there's probably no more than maybe 3 or 4 classes going on at one time, and they could hold thousands of people. So there's never an issue of finding a seat. What tracks did you guys go on? I'll start with maybe Maria. What track did you jump into? I think you moved around a little bit, to kind of taste the banquet, so to speak.
Yeah, I did. And I thought that was pretty cool because, we're all in different stages in our careers. So to be able to go into, the team track and see what that's like, and to be able to develop. And I also went into the leadership track. And then I tasted a little bit of wealth, which was great for me. So I bounced around a great deal. And I think it was all important because, we've said this before, you're making all these transactions. Once you get into the role of it, and then what do I do with all this money? How do I manage my money, right? So wealth was a huge, important point for me to be able to attend to that.
One of the things that Jason Abrams said, I don't know if you remember this, but he said, statistically speaking, only about 33% of real estate agents own their own home. And I thought that was a crazy number, because we're professionals that are teaching people how to build wealth, and yet we may not be at the level to actually apply that. And so the classes that KW has about wealth building, I think, are phenomenal, because we got to take care of ourselves. We're not selling anything. We're helping people achieve their wealth dreams and goals and so forth. Catherine, what about you? Did you attend a certain track, or did you kind of jump around?
I did focus on the solo agent with admin. I was in there for a few hours because it's been my goal to build leverage in my business. And so, I don't really aspire to have a giant team being on Kauai. Maybe I've been thinking a showing assistant, maybe a buyer's agent. But for the most part, I think I can do this if I had a lot of great admin. So I attended that class and I had a ton of ahas. Dan Ihara's listing manager was there. And there were a couple other listing managers and admin. Sorry, I have construction nearby. And then Blake, actually, I got to know Blake, who is also the listing manager for the Taniguchi team. And my mind was blown by what those guys do, because in my head, I need to have a licensed realtor, and just all of that is really overwhelming. But these guys didn't necessarily start out licensed; they developed into it. So I learned a lot in that class, and then just networking with some agents, and just even watching Gary Keller and his life story interview with Mark King. It brought back a lot of memories for me when Tony Brody did the life story interview with me, and I had no idea what he was doing. All I knew is that this bigwig at KW spent almost 3 hours with me asking me about my life, and it really was impressive to me about the company that he did that. And then seeing that with Gary and Mark, it just gave me a big aha that, you know, it motivated me that I really need to get to hiring somebody, because I've been dragging my feet. I know that hiring someone is a big responsibility, and it's going to take a lot of time to train and that kind of thing. So I've been a little bit intimidated, but that solo agent with admin class, that just really, it opened my eyes to a lot of what I can do to grow my business and build leverage.
I think just so you guys know, there's a person that's on our panel who runs a very large team at a very high level. Shar is a great resource if anyone wants to ask her. She does. I think, Shar, don't you do talent lead gen once a week still to build your bench?
I have the team helping with lead generating now. We have a lot of ads and emails to source through. My priority on Thursdays is to have 2 to 3 KPAs or offer reviews, meaning I'm putting an offer for a talent. And we've been doing that for about over a year and a half now, where we're consistently every Thursday. That's what I do. Where the goal is never to hire because you're in pain, because you're looking to fill a spot, or you're so busy that you're looking to hire to give somebody a role, like delegate, or, you know, this is a role I need you to fulfill. Then you're not being proactive and being able to actually understand what you're hiring for, who that right person is, how you're supposed to show up, the right personality. Like Gary Keller said something like this, the DISC. So he says he always promotes going through the KPA or the CV process. And he said that the DISC allows you to see someone that's in the bathing suit, doesn't allow you to see what's behind the bathing suit. In essence, the KPA allows you to see them bare naked. When you're doing it the right way and you're actually asking deeper questions, it can give you such a great relationship. Like Catherine, you were talking about relationship. Just imagine when you spend that 2 to 3 hours of that candidate's time, even let's say if it doesn't work out, they now learn something about themselves, and now you learn something about them. They may not work for you, they may work for another team, or they may work with Chad as an individual agent. And the flip side with that, imagine if that talent was the right talent for the team. What a great bond you guys have, starting from the very beginning when it's just in the interview process. They will work so hard to be a part of your team because you invested that 3 hours for them. That's a lifetime, because you're talking about their life story.
And Shar
Actually,
really,
I wanted to mention, sorry to interrupt, Shar, I met your girls too at the one of our dinners, and I was just so impressed with them. And they shared with me how they came upon working with you too. So it's just amazing what you mega teams are doing with talent and how you're finding them. So I mean, I love those girls that I met working that were at the dinner. So yeah, you're doing amazing with that.
Thank you. Can I share something about investments, guys? So we earn an income, and from there, you know, whether we are looking to save up for our first home or purchase the second home, we might be looking at what can we turn that income into, or put it into savings, whatever that is for you, whatever that is. You know, I don't think we're looking at how can we invest that back into us so that we can have leverage, because you can multiply yourself through a hire. I think the biggest pain point is the time and or sometimes the investment of what we would pay for talent. And, you know, that investment can be a bucket that we can start saving for, so that when we're continuing to look for talent, when a talent does come, you know, right before our eyes and we have to have them, you already have a bucket saved for your talent. Whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, I would say start saving for that future talent that you're going to hire. That way you don't say no to them. You already have future role for them. You already have future finances to cover for them.
I think what Shar it does on her team is genius and brilliant. She does it at a very high level. And the fact that if you guys heard her, she lead generates almost in the same way that she's lead generating for business, but she separates that out to lead generate for talent to grow her business. And she's not doing it to chase, because if you're chasing, it's too late. Like that, as she mentioned, if you hire for pain, you're probably hiring the wrong person. It's out of desperation. But if you are leading with that and building what we call building your bench, that's fantastic. And then the other analogy you gave about the KPA and being naked, I'm never going to do Rustin's KPA. So that's good. That's a aha and takeaway for me. Sammy, what was some of your highlights from the event?
My biggest highlight was the inspirational morning because that's like the whole reason that I kind of like got motivated to do real estate, was to be one of those people up there making a difference in that way. And also I had a side conversation during one of the events with Maria, and I was talking about little problems I was facing with motivation. And she was like, it's more about what inspires you than what motivates you. And that inspirational morning, it really just like topped it off. I was crying so much because it was so beautiful, and just everything that I wanted to get from being a part of KW. And that, and then just like all the breakouts that I attended were like very, very good. I have like a whole list of things to do and to implement, such as like auto touches. I've had this problem where I need everything to be perfect. And so if you make like these email campaigns or these text campaigns or any sort of marketing to put out there that people are going to see, I want every little thing to be perfect visually and whatever it is. But they kind of just say like, just do it, even at like the most basic level, to just do it. And they really emphasize that. And they're saying this as like huge top agents that are just like running this huge business. And they're like, it's totally fine if it's like the base level of things and you can send that out. Like nobody cares and you're still going to do great. So hearing that is a really good like reassurance for me also.
You know what we call that? We call that analysis paralysis, right? When you overthink something and you can't get out of your own way to take that first step. Daniel Ulu, what was the highlight of family reunion for you?
Let me just say, Sammy didn't want to go to the inspiration morning. I had to push her, but I always tell the attendees, because a lot of people miss inspiration morning, and I think that's probably the best part of family reunion. And I'm glad Sammy went.
I was tired. It was,
No,
it was
she
a
was,
long weekend
but
of
she was
learning.
crying the entire time, which is the purpose of going to inspiration morning.
What was your highlight?
My highlight was again, the breakout sessions, the high energy, the high level thinking. We attended this one breakout session, like Sammy remembers, the cold calling. Which class was that? No such thing as cold call, follow-up techniques to earn more business. A panelist of some of the top agents in our industry. And one thing that got me was that one of the agents had said, you know, we teach people how to be in business with you. And when she said that, I was, kind of thinking, okay, so we teach just how, the bold law is, you teach people how to treat you. And so she changed it to where you teach people how to be in business with you, which refers to like the referrals, help, teaching people how to give you information. We constantly get, hey, I got a buyer or somebody interesting to buy or sell. And then the conversation kind of just ends from there. And you're like, okay, well, let them reach out to me when they're ready. And I would do that very often. I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm losing a lot of potential clients. And so she said, a good script would be, can you give me an introduction? So have them give you an introduction to the person. And I thought that was a great script because I used it the other day when I got a referral come in. I said, yeah, can you give me an introduction via text or phone call? And, group text is fine. Just go ahead and add them in a text. And I found that to be working very well. And also another good script that they said was, say you're closing or you're with a client and you can ask them, and we want to get referrals, repeat referrals, right, from this particular client we're working with. So you say, hey, by the way, are there any other pieces of real estate that I can help you here or throughout the world? Again, write that down. So, hey, by the way, are there any other pieces of real estate that I can help you here or throughout the world? So, and then she said when she used that script, one client said, oh yeah, I own multiple properties in other states. So good referral. And so overall, I mean, that was one of the greatest breakout sessions I've been through since family reunion. So, but yeah.
That's great. That's really, really good. Especially if you're lining it up with what can I help you with in any piece of real estate here or anywhere in the world, you're basically telling them that you have connections and to come to you, you're the source of that information so you can connect them with a referral agent elsewhere, which is great.
Yeah.
Catherine, what was some of your highlights throughout whether it's a inspirational morning like Sammy said or anything else? What was some of the highlights of family reunion for you?
Well, I always love the vision speech. I love to hear what Gary Keller has to say about what's happening in the future. And, I do watch the economy quite a bit, and not just on real estate, but just in general, the stock market, politics. So it was really nice to hear what he had to say of what was going to happen in the future. At this point, because of the unknowns that's happening in the world, I have my ideas of what's going to happen. So I love getting his expertise, and the fact that he has a team that's watching the economy, that those guys are so brilliant. So I love that kind of discussion and that information and statistics. I'm kind of nerdy like that. I used to be a statistical analyst, in my earlier life. So I love that part of family reunion. And then for me, it was really about making connections again, because I really have missed seeing my colleagues. And then at the same time, I am friends with all these agents on Facebook. And it was just fun that they were like, oh, you're Catherine Pinnell on Facebook. Like, we're friends. And they knew things about me and I knew things about them. And, and I think maybe I'm just starved for relationship or something, because I hate to say it, like, I don't mix and mingle with our agents on Kauai as much, because even though I come in the office every day, not as many agents actually come in, and we haven't had classes. Everything's been Zoom. So just being able to reconnect with all these people and then get their little ahas and the things that they've learned in the business. I have taken away so many little things that I am already doing in my business that's made a difference. So that's, to me, is it's just been really good to reconnect. And even with you guys, Maria, I met her like 2 weeks prior, and then seeing her again, and she's like, Catherine, as if we're old friends. I miss that. I really do miss that. It's been a long time since we've gotten to all get together and just share ideas and reconnect.
No one mentioned yet the keynote speaker, Sean Acor. Wasn't he phenomenal? He was so good. I haven't read the book yet, but he has a ton of TED Talks out. So if you guys don't know who that is, Google Sean Acor. There you go. The Happiness Advantage. Thank you, Daniel. It was really,
he
really
mentioned
good.
the 5-10, and I really like that. I mean, I may not be able to repeat it, so maybe somebody else can help me. But when someone gets within 10 feet of you, you're supposed to make eye contact, and then 5 feet, you say hi. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that's the hotel industry uses that a lot.
Right.
The 10-5 rule. Yeah.
The 10-5 rule.
So I started paying attention to people doing that to me afterwards, and people were doing that.
Shar, what was some of the highlight of the event for you?
Let's see, a lot. The highlight was probably we had about 6 of our team members join us in different roles of the team. The highlight was probably seeing them experiencing the buffet of information and masterminding with individuals, not just with agents for our core, for our ISA and our listing team as well in the operation side. So that was really rewarding to see, because they get to see the bigger picture that now they can bring back and teach our other team members that didn't get a chance to go. That would probably be one of the highlights for me, just because it's somebody's first time. And other than that, it was really connecting with, after not being in present for about 2 years, right, with our family reunion, nothing has really changed, as in the main key focus that Gary will teach is, listings, leads, listings, and leverage. And it really is just the foundation of all in any business, any cycle of our business, and focusing on that. One key takeaway was from the CEO mastermind that he had on the 18th. And I believe it was Brian Gubernick that said something along the lines of this. It was 17 months is the average timeline a lead sits in your database until they raise their hand and says they want to do business with you. And there's no such thing as a bad lead. There's only bad follow-ups and expectations. And in leads, in the triangle, we're taught to lead generate. We're not really focusing as well on the lead follow-up, because 90% of our business is going to come from the lead follow-up. And so questions that came from that, and mind you, we have a huge database. And this was one of my key takeaways, like, in order for us to grow and there's golden nuggets in our database, we are missing people, right? So do you know what the next steps in your database to move your leads? So for example, if the average is 17 months, what are we doing with those leads that's a year out from now? Do we have a system, a touch system, and are they being implemented? And how do you feel about your pipeline? Is it great? Do we have a system, or do we have a plan to grow our pipeline? Because if it's not enough to support our book of business or our goal for this year or next year, and how do you feel about what are you doing about those leads that's not looking to sell right now? So what's the message, and how are you creating the follow-ups? So in the lead generation, as agents, whether we're individual or as a team, it always comes down to who. And if we are the individual agents, if we are the one that's in the lead generation, we're filling our pipeline, and then we're doing the follow-ups, how are we time blocking that we're lead generating for new business, and then we're following up on the business that we already have in our database that in 17 months is going to raise their hand and do business with you. And for individuals that have teams, if we're focused on our hot buyers now, those are how many opportunities are we missing by not creating a touch system for follow-ups that we might be losing.
So I put in the chat, which it's a saying that I love to use often, is agents don't have a lead problem, they have a follow-up problem. So to that point, I talk to agents all the time. Well, they'll say, oh, I just get referrals. I don't do any lead generation at all. And it doesn't matter if they close 5 a year, 10 a year, 30 a year, and that's what their mantra is. I don't do any lead generation. My clients call me. I get it. That's fine. But imagine there is an agent out there that's a lot hungrier that absolutely will contact your client, and clients are loyal until they're not. And some of the statistics that Gary went over in his vision speech from NAR was a lot of clients, although they might have had a great experience with you, they may have forgotten your information. And if they have other agents that are continually calling, it's a matter of timing too. So do yourself a favor and put them into a follow-up program. Yeah, Shar.
There was actually, I think it was in the vision speech that they ended up working with the agent that first got in front of them, or the first agent that talked to them. So they can be in your database if we miss our follow-ups, because it's not until like 17 months from now that they're saying they might do a transaction with us. We're missing a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and Jason Abrams actually touched on that even further and was saying that, it's not necessarily the best agent that earns that deal. It's the fastest agent that gets them on the phone. So you guys got to keep that in mind too, is if you are doing some lead generation, make sure that you're the quickest to get there. What things, Maria, were a highlight to you in this very first family reunion that you attended?
When you called me to do this panel, I was like, this is going to be so hard because I have so many notes, but I narrowed it down to these favorites. They said the 5 people you surround yourself around matters. When you help people win, you win. And Gary said this next thing that I'm going to share with you guys today. He said, people don't have to lose for you to win. And that for me was so powerful, because, it reaffirmed me that I'm in a company that believes in abundance, right? There's enough to go around. But one of my favorite sessions was actually the KWYP session with Jason Abrams. And he showcased the model for fulfillment. And one of the things he mentioned, how important it is for you to know what you want, what you need to have control over in your business, what regrets you are trying to avoid. So he was going deep into, what is our purpose? What are we here for? Instead of just transaction after transaction after transaction, really going deep as to what you want out of life to be able to help people and get to where you want to be and not just be a robot. So it was a real powerful session. Daniel was there, and so was Sam. So I know they can vouch for it. I was blown away. After that first session, I was like, oh my God, this is like the kickoff. But for me, it's really important to be part of an organization that's in alignment with the things that I believe in. And coming in to real estate, from corporate America, for those that don't know my background, you're sort of standing in an empty space. And I've shared this with many people before, where you don't have like the employee manual, and this is what you're doing today, and this is what you're doing tomorrow, and so on and so forth, the job description. And because you're an independent contractor, that's the biggest gift. And because you're an independent contractor, it could almost be the biggest curse if you don't have time block, if you don't have a schedule, whatever's not on the schedule just doesn't happen. If you don't understand that you need to lead generate, because otherwise you just don't have a business. So having a company or firm that provides all this education and all these resources for you to be able to get better at that is key. And so I was able to absorb a lot of that this past week when we went to family reunion. It was just too much. He's looking at me like you're going on and on, but it was just too much.
So you're stuffed from your banquet and buffet is what you're saying.
Yeah.
KW is really good about coming and having that abundant mindset and coming from contribution and what have you. So the quote that you had mentioned, thank you for bringing that up, because that was one of the most powerful quotes that he had mentioned was, and that goes for our competition, that goes for everything that we do, but people don't have to lose for you to win. And there's so much business out there. We need to focus on us.
Yeah.
And take the steps necessary for us to grow as individuals and as agents and so forth. I have two last questions for everyone.
Wait, I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah,
I just want to add
please.
one more thing. The other benefit that I found early on in my career, because I'm not originally from Hawaii, I leaned into referral business with other agents. And the other benefit that I found was being able to be in a room. Why are you laughing? Being able to be in a room with so many agents of the same firm and seeing it before your eyes, the network. One thing is behind the computer and we have all these networking opportunities. The other thing is to be able to have the relationships in front of you. I don't know why he's laughing.
I'm laughing because you're like the queen relationship connector, networker. I've never seen anything like it. It is absolutely amazing. Like she's from Puerto Rico, right? New York, Puerto Rico. And she just comes to KW. It's her first event. And she's like, yeah, I'm just going to go have fun. Next thing I know, she's sending me pictures of her like salsa dancing with a Puerto Rico club. And I'm like, you were there for 5 minutes. How did this happen? How did you suddenly take over all of KW Puerto Rico in 5 minutes? So it's amazing how you do that. So I have 2-part question for everyone. I'll start with you, Sammy, is what are you going to implement like immediately? And what does culture mean to you?
So I have a list of everything I need to implement that I organize after reviewing my notes. And like I talked about earlier, the first one is like auto touches and just like getting them done and then sent out. Tracking not just like cold calls and like all of the new forms of lead gen, but also checking calls and just like those touches and tracking those. Something that Sean Aker talked about was something that didn't work was writing down what you're grateful for every morning. And what did end up working was writing down 3 things you were grateful for from the past 24 hours instead. And the way that shifted people over time and their happiness. So I want to implement that and do the within 24 hours because I think that's important. And then just like a lot of organizational things like tagging people in certain ways. And the culture, I realize that not everybody knows what inspirational morning is because I did not know what inspirational morning was, which is why I was hesitant, wasn't gonna go, and then Daniel thankfully convinced me. But inspirational morning was just like these amazing people who have contributed to the world in like really great ways, and made a really huge impact. And like I think that's what kind of sold me on KW when I was interviewing brokerages, and what I continue to see is kind of like what Maria was talking about, how everybody is just like a community and not a competition, what everybody's been talking about. But also just kind of like that aspect of like Red Day and all of the other things that KW does as a brokerage for non-real estate related things is just like really important, because we're obviously building huge businesses and helping a lot of people with building their wealth through real estate, but helping people outside of real estate as well. And the fact that we have that opportunity to, because of what we do, is a huge thing that I've learned because of KW, and continue seeing and learning because of KW. So I'm very happy that I'm a part of this brokerage, and that I was able to go to family reunion and see those people like up front, like they're real, they're people out there doing things, and they're so heavily involved with KW too. It's very cool to me.
Awesome. Thank you. Catherine, what is it that you're going to implement, and what does culture mean to you?
Okay, a couple of things I want to implement. Well, I already started implementing the 5-10. I'm trying to be a little friendlier and pay attention to what is going on around me just on the street. I am already pretty friendly, but I'm just trying to really pay more attention to my surroundings and what's going on. So Sammy mentioned a couple of things that I came away with as well. Tagging correctly. So I have a database of almost 3,000 people, and they could be tagged, I think, with more detail. So I actually came up with, there's almost 30 tags. I'm narrowing them down a little bit more, but me and my cyberbacker came up with a more intense list so that I can get more focused on the messages that I'm sending. I actually am really good about those touches with the smart plans on commands, and I've halted them for way too long. So I got motivated in just hearing some of the speakers that I need to put that back on. And you were just talking about that earlier. Another thing is asking for testimonials, not at the end of the transaction, but during the transaction. And I already started implementing that. Like as soon as somebody, this was advice I got from some realtors, but as soon as somebody asks me or says, oh, I really love this, or you did a good job on this, or they express that they're happy, I ask them for a testimonial, even though the transaction isn't over. So that's worked already twice. I've gotten 2 new testimonials just in the last week. And then filling my bench with candidates. Shar mentioned that today. I had an agent advise me that he just interviews someone for 30 minutes every week. He takes someone out for coffee, and it could be anybody, but because he said that he needs to keep filling his bench, and Shar said the same thing. So that is something I want to start doing, is just meet people I meet, just take them out. And that agent said, you know what, it's going to build that muscle for your hiring for you, because that's my next goal. I already signed up for the next career visioning, knowing that how important that is. And I already mentioned too, just that I'd like to go deeper with my relationships with my clients and my colleagues. So culture is Keller Williams. And it's funny, I haven't talked about it in so long because I'm just in it. And I know for Maria, it's real easy for her to see it. It's a new concept, being new to KW. But yeah, just the supportive nature that we have with each other, that we're willing to share with each other and help each other grow. And just that having that open mindset, that culture here at KW it's very different than what I've been used to here, especially here in Kauai, because we don't have as many opportunities on the island. So just, I really appreciate that about KW. And it's why I haven't gone anywhere. I get a recruiting call. I get recruiting calls all the time, but it's not even an option. I just love the culture that we've built here in the office of just supporting each other and cheering each other on. I love that. I love being cheered on, and I love cheering others on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Maria, I know Maria has to go. So Maria, I'll ask you, what are you going to implement and what does culture mean to you? And you're on mute.
I've been having technical difficulties all day today, but anyway, one things that I'm going to implement is actually intertwining my team into the culture. You know, one of the things that it was kind of aching in my heart that my whole team wasn't there in KW. So I really want them to be part of, you know, all of the events, not just family reunion that KW provides. And the second thing I want to implement, I'm still working on the third because there's a lot. The second thing I want to implement is really working on the time blocking and helping people that are around me working on that, because I've really done it in the last couple of years and it's made a difference in my career. So I want to be able to help people do that.
And what does culture mean to you?
I think that it meant one thing before joining KW, and now it means something totally different. No, I think culture, if I can by it, it's us working together, pouring into each other. It's a collaborative effort. You know, we're all one. And I think that, you know, that's become abundantly clear by joining KW, that we're all in this together.
It's a great answer. Thank you, Maria. I know, Maria, you have to go. So if you do, it's totally fine. Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Having me. And thank you so much for everyone in this panel. You guys have also poured into me. And I'll just say this before I go, you know, Sam and I were talking, which is what she was mentioning earlier. She says, you know, sometimes I just lose motivation. And I said, that's because motivation is temporary and inspiration is long lasting. And that's what KW does. It inspires you to be better, to do better, to want to grow, to want to help other people. So you got to stay away from motivation and look for the inspiration. If I can leave you guys with that.
Oh my gosh, Daniel and Shar, good luck trying to follow that one. Good luck. I'm just playing.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Maria. Daniel, no pressure. I'm going to go to you right after that one. What is something or one or two things that you're going to implement, and what does culture mean to you?
I'll be quick. So the one thing that I'm going to implement this, you know, after family reunion was kind of touching with 30% of my business is KW referrals. And I've learned that I haven't been treating my referral network as I do my clients. And so I haven't been touching base with them. I don't even, you know, nurture them. And so this year I'm changing it up to where I'm making monthly phone calls to my referral network, putting them on a email drip campaign, giving them a market update on the island, what's going on, and just staying connected with them and to keep that momentum going, or else I'm just going to lose my KW referral network. So that's something I'm going to implement immediately. What KW culture means to me, I mean, it's a shared belief between us agents to help other people. You know, that's the reason why I haven't left KW, because no other company can compete with the culture that we have here. The culture of just keep giving back to the agents, helping agents grow. Like how Gary Keller said, you know, it's a win if we're all not winning. And that's why, you know, I stayed. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Shar, what are something that you're going to implement? What does culture mean to you?
Okay. Two things I'm going to implement. Well, so Gary Keller, there was something that he said that we are all smart enough to take over the world, but are we smart enough to get out of our own way? And so one thing for me, when I heard that, I feel like I'm always in the way. You know, I'm not the smartest person in the room. I know that. And with the team that we have great talents and they are running departments. And so me getting out of the way, one thing that I'm going to implement is, you know, discussing with them, figuring out what is the next growth and what would that look like for their departments or each individual team member that's running an area of the team. Because the great ideas no longer can come from me because I'm no longer in that role. They are, and they can see how they can grow that department. So that question is for them to answer. That's one thing. The second thing is the wealth building. You know, we have the opportunity to learn about wealth and what the profit, your income can do for you. And so now turning it around and teaching our team members what wealth can look like for them, and you know, whether it's salary or bonuses, or in this case commissions, helping them create a plan for that first home, second home, whatever it is for them, so that they are looking to work for a purpose, not just to work and earn income. And they will show up a lot more energized because they're working towards something that is very meaningful for them to achieve, and not just a paycheck or a commission check that they get every month. Those are the two things. Culture for me, let's see. Culture is growth. And I think that Gary Keller is always challenging and holding that accountable with the company. And he's very growth minded. You know, he said, change is inevitable and growth is optional. And so with that, I think that is what our culture is about, whether it's business growth, personal growth, mindset growth. It carries all throughout in our lifetime, in different areas of our life, even in relationship growth. So that is what culture means to me.
Sam.
I just wanted to quickly add on that culture thing that Charlene and Daniel are a huge reason why I was even able to go to family reunion. So thank you. That's part of the whole culture thing too. And as a newer agent and also an agent who communications chair for YP, I talk to so many new agents, and like it can get really lonely coming into this world. And so while I was there, another thing that was a huge takeaway was getting out of my comfort zone and talking to people by myself. Daniel really pushed me to just like network, even though I was terrified. But even for here, like if you're a newer agent and you just meet people as great as Charlene and as great as Daniel, like people are so supportive. And that's like the whole thing about KW and why like I would never leave. And I would suggest every new agent to come here, just because like even just in Hawaii, this small like community that we have, like every single agent you find someone that's like really great. So thank you again to you guys.
Thank you for sharing that. And one thing I'll just challenge in closing is, again, the videos come out. If you guys watched it, you were there live. If you have a bunch of notes, if you were there virtually and you took a bunch of notes, you ever see people who take a ton of notes and they're great note takers, but it doesn't really do anything? John Maxwell gave a great tip at Entree Leadership. Shar, you and Russ probably remember this, is he has like a rating. It's like an A, B, and C. So he goes through all his notes, and the A is the things that he's going to take action on right away. And the B's are the things that he might take action on or review again 6 months later. And C's are like great ideas that he's going to revisit at some other time. And I thought that's great because you can have 6 to 10 pages of notes, and the notes are great, but if you do nothing with it, then it means nothing at all, right? So I would encourage you guys to go back through your notes and decide what items you're going to take action on and hold yourself accountable, or, you know, call me and I'll hold you accountable. I'll help with being an accountability partner for you. But thank you so much for jumping on and taking time out of your day. I greatly appreciate the panelists. I'm so honored to be in business with all of you. You guys help me be better each and every day as well. It was great to be at Family Reunion with all of you, and I very much look forward to the next one. So thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
It was awesome.
Bye, guys.